The scanner readings made no sense at all, Dr. Rilith checked the equipment 3 times before accepting what the instruments were telling her. Something massive was drifting in the empty space between the Kepler and Vega systems, and it was definitely not natural. Engineering, run a full diagnostic on the long-range sensors, she called through the COM system. Her voice echoed in the quiet research bay of the galactic survey vessel Harmony's Edge. Already done, Doctor. Equipment is functioning perfectly, came the reply from Chief Engineer Thorne. Relith's 4 arms moved across the control panel with practiced efficiency. Her species, the Phylorians, had evolved on a low-gravity world where multiple limbs were advantageous for climbing through crystal forests. Now that same dexterity served her well as one of the galaxy's most respected xenobiologists. The object ahead was enormous. Initial scans suggested it was roughly 800 meters long and constructed from materials that the ship's computer couldn't identify. The hull seemed to be made from some kind of metal alloy that absorbed most scanning frequencies, making detailed analysis impossible. Communications to the bridge. We have an unidentified vessel at coordinates 7-7-Mark-4-9. Requesting permission to investigate. Permission granted, Doctor. Take us closer but maintain safe distance, replied Captain Veltar from the bridge. His deep, resonant voice carried the authority of someone who had spent decades exploring the unknown regions of the galaxy. As the Harmony's Edge approached, more details became visible. The vessel was clearly artificial, but unlike anything in the galactic database. Its design was angular and aggressive, with what appeared to be weapon systems integrated into the hull structure. Strange symbols were etched along the sides in patterns that suggested writing, but the computer couldn't match them to any known language. Life signs detected, announced Science Officer Cathora from her station. Multiple biosignatures inside the vessel. They appear to be active. Active? You mean alive? Rilith's excitement was obvious. Finding a derelict ship was interesting, but discovering living beings from an unknown civilization was the discovery of a lifetime, confirmed. I'm reading approximately 47 individual life forms. They seem to be moving around inside. The ship? Their biological patterns are unlike anything in our database. Attempt communication on all frequencies, ordered Captain Veltar. Let's see if they're willing to talk. The first few attempts yielded nothing but static. Then, just as they were about to give up, a clear voice came through the speakers. The words were in perfect galactic standard, the common language used for trade and diplomacy throughout known space. Unknown vessel, this is Captain Davis of the Starship Resilience. We see you found us. We've been waiting for someone to show up. The bridge fell silent. A ship from an unknown civilization, but they spoke galactic standard fluently. More than that, they had been waiting. Captain Davis, this is Captain Veltar of the galactic survey vessel Harmony's Edge. We're peaceful explorers. What is your species and origin? We're humans, from a world we call Earth. Others seem to call it Terra in their files. We've been traveling for a long time, looking for others like ourselves. Would you like to come aboard? We'd enjoy the company. The casual tone was unsettling. Most first contacts were formal affairs with elaborate protocols. These humans seemed to treat the meeting like greeting neighbors. We would be honored to visit your vessel, Veltar replied after a moment's hesitation. We'll prepare a diplomatic team. Just bring whoever you want. We'll keep the weapons powered down and the docking bay open. Fair warning, though, our gravity is a bit higher than what most species prefer. The communication ended, leaving the crew of the Harmony's Edge staring at each other in confusion. What kind of species casually mentioned weapons and high gravity as if they were minor inconveniences? Dr. Rilith found herself selected for the boarding party along with Captain Veltar, Security Chief Morven, and 3 other specialists. As they prepared their equipment, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were about to encounter something unprecedented. The docking bay of the Resilience was huge and clearly designed for military purposes. As their shuttle settled onto the deck, Rilith noticed that the gravity was indeed much higher than normal. Her suit's readings showed it was nearly 3 times what her species considered comfortable. The The humans were waiting for them. Then reliefs. First sight of them was startling. They were bipedal like many species, but built like predators. Their forward-facing eyes suggested they were hunters, and their muscular frames indicated they came from a high-gravity world, most unsettling. Of all, they seemed completely relaxed, despite being surrounded by unknown aliens. "Welcome aboard the Resilience," said the human who introduced himself as Captain Davis. He was tall even by human standards, with graying hair and scars that suggested a lifetime of conflict. "I hope the gravity isn't too uncomfortable." "We can adjust it in the common areas if needed." "We're managing fine, thank you," replied Captain Veltar. Though Rilith noticed he was already breathing harder than usual. As they toured the ship, Rilith was amazed by what she saw. The humans had achieved space travel using technology that seemed primitive by galactic standards, yet somehow more robust. Their ship was clearly designed for long-term voyage and combat, with systems that could be repaired and maintained for decades without outside support. "Your vessel is impressive," she told Captain Davis. "How long have you been traveling?" "This ship has been flying for about 60 years. My grandfather started the journey, and I've been captain for the last 20. We've been searching for other intelligent species." 60 years? How is that possible? Even with the best life support, no ship can sustain a crew for that long? Davis smiled, and Rilith noticed that his teeth were particularly sharp. "We're a hardy species, Doctor. We come from what your databases probably classify as a hostile world. We've learned to adapt." Later, as they shared a meal in the human mess hall, Rilith began to understand just how different these beings were. They spoke casually about their homeworld, describing conditions that would kill most galactic species within hours. They talked about predators that hunted in packs, weather systems that could destroy cities, and diseases that had shaped their evolution. "Your world sounds incredibly dangerous," she said. "It can be challenging," Davis agreed, "but it made us who we are. We've learned that the universe isn't particularly friendly, so we've adapted to survive in it." As the evening progressed, Rilith realized that the humans weren't just survivors. They were something the galaxy had never seen before, a species that had evolved not just to live in a hostile environment, but to thrive in it. Their casual attitude toward danger, their advanced technology disguised as primitive engineering, and their obvious military preparation all pointed to one conclusion. The galaxy had just encountered its first true predator species, and they were surprisingly friendly about it. The medical bay of the Harmony's Edge had never seen anything like Lieutenant Tom Bradley. The human volunteer sat patiently on the examination table while Dr. Cathura ran every test she could think of, her tentacles moving rapidly across the medical scanners. "This is impossible," she muttered for the 5th time in an hour. "Your bone density alone should prevent you from moving." Tom chuckled, a sound that still made the alien crew nervous. "Doc, I'm actually pretty average for a human. You should see our athletes or military personnel." The test results were beyond anything in galactic medical knowledge. Human bones were nearly 4 times denser than any known species, yet they moved with fluid grace. Their muscle tissue was incredibly efficient, packed with redundant systems that could compensate for massive trauma. Most disturbing of all, they had multiple organs that served the same function. "Why do you have 2 kidneys?" Kethra asked. "And 2 lungs?" "No species needs redundant organs. Backup systems," Tom explained simply. "If one gets damaged, the other keeps working. Same with our liver, it can actually regenerate if part of it is destroyed." Dr. Rilith watched the examination from the observation deck, recording every detail. The humans had been aboard the Harmony's Edge for 3 days now, and each revelation was more unsettling than the last. "Tell me about your homeworld," she said through the intercom. "What was it like growing up there?" Tom's eyes lit up. "Earth is beautiful. Sure, it has its challenges, but that's what makes it interesting. We have storms that can level cities, earthquakes that crack continents, and winter seasons that can freeze you solid in minutes. The wildlife is pretty active, too." "Active how?" "Well, take the bears. They're only about twice the size of a human, but they can run 40 miles per hour and have claws that can tear through steel. Then there are the big cats, lions, tigers, leopards. They're perfect hunting machines. And don't get me started on the ocean predators. Kethra's tentacles stopped moving. You shared your world with creatures that hunted you? Not hunted, exactly. We learned to hunt them back. That's how we became the dominant species. Competition made us stronger. The concept was horrifying. To the galactic crew, most civilized species had evolved on worlds where cooperation was the key to survival. The idea of a planet where multiple apex predators competed for dominance was like something from a nightmare. What about your weather? Rilith asked. You mentioned storms? Hurricanes, tornadoes, monsoons, blizzards. The atmosphere is pretty active. We get lightning storms that can power entire cities if you could capture the energy. The temperature swings are fun too. It can be 50 degrees different between day and night in some places. And you consider this normal? It's home, Tom said with a shrug. You adapt or you die. Most of us adapted. Captain Veltar had been listening from the bridge, growing more concerned with each revelation. He opened a secure channel to the Galactic Council, requesting immediate consultation with the Xenobiology Committee. The response came within hours. Dr. Zenthi, the galaxy's leading expert on hostile world survival, appeared on the main screen. Her crystalline form glowed with agitation. Captain, I've reviewed your reports. These humans cannot exist. Their planet is classified as Class 15 Deathworld. No sapient species can evolve under those conditions. Yet here they are, Veltar replied. They're not only alive, they're thriving. Their technology is primitive by our standards, but incredibly robust. They've been traveling for 60 years on a single ship. Impossible. Show me the data. The transmission of medical scans and planetary information took several minutes. When it finished, Dr. Zenthi's glow had dimmed to almost nothing. Captain, you need to understand what you've discovered. These humans evolved on a world that experiences extinction-level events on a regular basis. Their physiology suggests they've survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and worse. They're not just adapted to survive, they're adapted to thrive in chaos. Meanwhile, in the human quarters, Captain Davis was having his own conversation with some of his crew. The aliens were friendly enough, but their reaction to basic human physiology was concerning. They seemed terrified of us, said Dr. Walsh, the ship's physician. The alien doctor nearly fainted when I explained how our immune system works. Can you blame them? Asked Engineer Roberts. We're talking about people who come from worlds where the biggest threat is probably bad weather. They've never seen anything like us? Davis nodded thoughtfully. We need to be careful. These people are advanced but fragile. They've built a civilization based on cooperation and peaceful coexistence. They don't understand that some species evolve differently. Should we tell them about the wars? Roberts asked. What wars? Davis replied, We're at peace now. Have been for nearly a century. The historical ones. The world wars, the resource conflicts, the territorial disputes. They might want to know how we developed our technology. Davis considered this. Let's see how they handle the basic information first. No need to overwhelm them with our more colorful past. Back in the medical bay, the examination was concluding. Tom had answered hundreds of questions about human physiology, culture, and technology. The alien crew was clearly struggling to process the information. One more question, Kethra said. How do humans handle stress? What do you do when faced with overwhelming danger? We adapt, Tom replied. We find a way to survive. We've been doing it for millions of years. And if you can't adapt, then we fight. We fight until we win or until we can't fight anymore. The simplicity of the answer was chilling. These humans didn't just survive hostile conditions. They had evolved to see hostility as a normal part of existence. They expected the universe to try to kill them, and they had prepared accordingly. Dr. Rilith realized that the galaxy had just encountered something unprecedented. The humans weren't just another species. They were a force of nature that had learned to think. They were evolution's answer to a planet that refused to let anything survive easily. "Captain," she said to Veltar over the comm, "we need to contact the Council immediately. These humans aren't just survivors. They're something we've never seen before." "What do you mean?" "They're a species that evolved to expect the worst possible circumstances and still find a way to win. We need to decide very carefully how we're going to handle this." The examination ended with more questions than answers. The humans were friendly, helpful, and genuinely interested in peaceful contact. They were also the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered, and they didn't even seem to realize it. The research fleet dropped out of hyperspace with military precision. Admiral Corgan watched from the bridge of the dreadnought Absolute Justice as 12 ships took formation around the small human vessel. The sight was meant to be intimidating, and it would have worked on any known species. "Sir, the human ship is hailing us," reported Communications Officer Dex. "Put them through," Corgan ordered. He had read the reports about these impossible beings from the Deathworld. It was time to see what they were really made of. The view screen flickered to life, showing the human captain in what appeared to be a basic bridge. Davis looked remarkably calm for someone facing a fleet that could destroy planets. "Admiral Corgan, I assume." "We've been expecting you." "Captain Davis, I'm here on behalf of the Galactic Council to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of your species. You will submit to our testing procedures." "Testing procedures? That sounds formal. What exactly do you want to test?" "Your capabilities, your technology, your intentions. The Council needs to understand what kind of threat you represent." Davis was quiet for a moment. "Admiral, we're not a threat to anyone. We're explorers looking for a place to call home. But if you insist on testing us, we'll cooperate." "Excellent. Prepare to be boarded." The first round of tests began aboard the Absolute Justice. The humans were subjected to physical examinations, psychological evaluations, and technology assessments. The results were disturbing enough to make even Admiral Corgan's experienced crew nervous. Dr. Vex, the fleet's chief scientist, reported to the Admiral after the first day. "Sir, these humans are unlike anything we've encountered. Their physical capabilities are off the charts. They can survive in environments that would kill most species instantly." "Show me." The demonstration took place in the ship's environmental chamber. Lieutenant Bradley volunteered to show the aliens what humans considered normal atmospheric conditions. As the chamber filled with what the humans called Earth-normal air, the monitoring systems went haywire. "The oxygen content is toxic," Dr. Vex explained. "The atmospheric pressure would crush most species, and the temperature variations they consider comfortable would cause severe physiological stress in any known race. Yet they're thriving in it," Corgan observed. "That's not the worst part. Watch this." The human demonstrated their species' physical capabilities. He lifted objects that should have been impossible for a being his size to move. He withstood impacts that would shatter normal bone structure. Most impressive of all, he showed how quickly humans could heal from injury. "They have redundant organ systems," Dr. Vex continued. "Their bone density is 4 times normal. Their muscle efficiency is beyond anything in our database. And their neural processing speed suggests they can react to threats faster than our sensors can detect them." "What about their technology?" "Primitive by our standards, but incredibly robust. Their ship is designed to function for decades without maintenance. Their weapons systems are simple but effective. They've achieved space travel using methods we abandoned thousands of years ago because they were too dangerous." Corgan processed this information. "Too dangerous how?" "They use controlled explosions to achieve thrust. They generate power using nuclear reactions. Their ship's hull is designed to withstand direct impact from asteroid debris. Everything about their technology suggests they expect to be attacked." The psychological evaluations were equally disturbing. The humans showed no signs of the normal fear responses that kept most species alive. They seemed to view danger as a problem to be solved rather than a threat to be avoided. "They don't think like us," reported Chief Psychologist Mel. "When presented with a scenario involving overwhelming odds, they immediately began planning how to fight back." Not how to escape, not how to negotiate, but how to win. And their response to authority? They respect it when it's earned, but they don't submit to it automatically. They seem to evaluate every order based on its practical merit. As the testing continued, Admiral Corgan became increasingly concerned. These humans were not just survivors, they were predators who had learned to cooperate. Their entire culture was built around the assumption that conflict was inevitable and victory was the only acceptable outcome. "Sir," Dr. Vex reported after the third day, "we need to discuss the weapons demonstration. What about it?" "The humans are reluctant to show us their full capabilities. They claim their weapons are defensive only, but the power readings we're getting suggest otherwise. Force the issue." The confrontation came when Admiral Corgan demanded that the humans demonstrate their ship's combat capabilities. Captain Davis had been polite but firm in his refusal. "Admiral, we don't want to alarm your crew. Our weapons are designed to handle the kind of threats we encounter in deep space. They might be more than you expect. I'm ordering you to comply with the testing protocol, and I'm politely declining. We've cooperated with your physical and psychological tests. We've shared our technology and our history, but we won't demonstrate our weapon systems. Then you'll be considered a hostile force." The change in Davis was subtle but unmistakable. His casual demeanor shifted to something harder, more focused. "Admiral, you really don't want to go down this path. Are you threatening me?" "I'm warning you, we didn't come here to fight. We came here to make friends. But if you insist on treating us as enemies, we'll respond accordingly." Corgan made his decision. "All ships target the human vessel. Prepare to disable their engines and weapon systems." "Admiral, please reconsider," Davis said. "We don't want to hurt anyone." "You're outnumbered 12 to 1. You're surrounded by the most advanced warships in the galaxy. Surrender now or face the consequences." Davis sighed. "Very well, you asked for a demonstration. What happened next would be studied by military strategists for generations. The humans didn't fight the galactic fleet, they dismantled it. In less than 10 minutes, every ship in Admiral Corgan's command was floating helplessly in space. The Resilience had moved with impossible speed, striking each ship with surgical precision. They didn't destroy anything, they simply disabled every weapon, every engine, every critical system. The aliens found themselves completely helpless, surrounded by their own dead ships. "Admiral," Davis's voice came through the CUM system, "your people are safe. We've disabled your vessels but caused no casualties. We're sending repair teams to help with life support." "How?" Corgan asked. "How did you do that?" "We're from a world where everything tries to kill you, Admiral. We learned to be very good at staying alive. The human repair teams worked efficiently to restore life support and basic systems to the disabled ships. They were courteous and professional, treating their defeated opponents with respect." "Why are you helping us?" Corgan asked when Captain Davis came aboard the Absolute Justice. "Because that's what civilized beings do. We may have different definitions of civilization, but we all want the same basic things: safety, security, and the chance to build something better." "But you could have destroyed us." "Yes, but why would we? You're not our enemies. You're just afraid of something you don't understand." Admiral Corgan realized that the humans had just taught him a lesson about power. They had demonstrated overwhelming superiority and then immediately used that advantage to help rather than harm. It was a display of restraint that few species could have managed. "What do you want from us?" he asked. "The same thing we've always wanted: a chance to find our place in the galaxy. We're not conquerors, Admiral, we're survivors. And we've learned that survival is easier when you have allies." The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called after Admiral Corgan's fleet was disabled. Representatives from 47 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Nexus Station, their voices creating a cacophony of concern and confusion. "Order, order," called Speaker Vex, her crystalline voice cutting through the noise. "We will hear Admiral Corgan's report." The Admiral stood at the center of the chamber, his pride wounded but his respect for the humans grudgingly earned. Honored representatives, I have witnessed something unprecedented. The humans are not merely survivors. They are the most capable military force I have ever encountered. Explain, demanded Representative Morth of the Vegan Collective. They disabled 12 of our most advanced warships in less than 10 minutes. They used tactics and technology that rendered our defenses useless. Then they immediately began rescue operations to ensure no lives were lost. Are you saying they're hostile? Asked Representative Zinn. No, that's what makes this so disturbing. They're overwhelmingly powerful but completely benevolent. They could have destroyed us but chose to help us instead. The debate that followed was heated. Some species wanted to declare humanity a threat to galactic security. Others argued for immediate military alliance. A few suggested that the humans should be isolated until their intentions could be fully understood. Meanwhile, aboard the Resilience, Captain Davis was having his own discussion with his senior staff. The confrontation with the Galactic Fleet had forced him to reveal more about human capabilities than he had intended. The Admiral seems like a reasonable man, said Dr. Walsh, but his superiors are going to be terrified of us. Can you blame them? Asked Engineer Roberts. We just demonstrated that their most advanced military technology is useless against us. That would scare anyone. We need to be completely honest with them, Davis decided. No more holding back. They need to understand who we are and why we're here. Are you sure that's wise? Walsh asked. If they know our full capabilities, they might unite against us. Better they know the truth and live in fear of the unknown. The next day, Davis requested a meeting with the full Galactic Council. The invitation was accepted, though not without significant security measures. The humans were escorted to Nexus Station by a fleet of ships that maintained a respectful but wary distance. The great chamber fell silent as Captain Davis entered. He was alone except for 2 crew members, a deliberate choice to show that humans didn't need overwhelming numbers to feel secure. Honored representatives, Davis began, I stand before you to offer the truth about humanity. We are not your enemies. We are not conquerors. We are survivors from a world that taught us to expect the worst and prepare for everything. Tell us about your world, Speaker Thex requested. Davis activated a holographic display showing Earth. From orbit, the planet looked beautiful from space, but the data readings told a different story. Our world is classified in your databases as Terra, a Class 15 Deathworld. We call it Earth, and it's the only home we've ever known. The gravity is 3 times what most of you consider normal. The atmospheric pressure would crush most species. The weather systems regularly produce storms that can destroy entire cities. The assembled representatives shifted uncomfortably as more data appeared. We share our world with millions of species, many of which see us as food. We've survived ice ages that lasted thousands of years, asteroid impacts that blocked out the sun, and volcanic eruptions that poisoned the air. We faced plagues that killed half our population and still found ways to rebuild. How is this possible? Asked Representative Morth. Evolution? Every generation of humans has been tested by our world. Those who couldn't adapt died. Those who could survive passed their strength to their children. For millions of years, Earth has been creating the ultimate survivors. And now you're here, Speaker Thex observed. We're here because we've learned something important. Survival isn't just about being strong enough to live. It's about being strong enough to protect others. We've seen your history, your wars, your struggles. We know what's coming. What's coming? Admiral Corgan asked. The universe is not a safe place. There are threats out there that your peaceful civilizations aren't prepared to handle. We've monitored your communications for decades. We know about the HFY War, the Void Plague, the machine intelligence that consumed the Outer Rim. These aren't isolated incidents. They're warnings. The chamber erupted in whispers. The humans had been watching them for decades without revealing themselves. You've been spying on us, accused Representative Zinn. We've been learning about you. We wanted to understand your cultures, your languages, your values. We didn't want to make contact until we were sure we could do it without causing harm. And now? Speaker Thex asked. Now we're offering our services. We want to be your guardians. We want to stand between you and the threats you can't imagine. Why? The question came from Representative Yell of the Pacifist Union. Why would you risk your lives for strangers? Davis was quiet for a moment, because that's what civilized beings do. We protect those who can't protect themselves. We've seen what happens when good people are left defenseless against evil. We won't let it happen again. What makes you think we need protection? Admiral Corgan asked. Because you're not prepared for what's coming. You've built your civilizations on the assumption that reason and diplomacy can solve any problem. But there are things in the universe that don't care about reason. There are forces that view your compassion as weakness. You speak as if you've encountered these forces, Speaker Thex observed. We have. On our journey here, we've seen the remnants of civilizations that thought they were safe. We've fought off pirates who prey on peaceful merchants. We've encountered machine intelligences that view organic life as a disease to be cured. And, you defeated them? We survived them. That's what we do. The revelation that followed changed everything. The humans shared their experiences from their journey to the galaxy, describing encounters with threats that most species couldn't even comprehend. They had fought off predatory species, disabled rogue artificial intelligences, and protected refugee fleets from forces that would have destroyed them. You've been protecting people without them even knowing it, Dr. Rilith realized. It's what we do. We see a threat, we deal with it. We don't need credit or recognition. We just need to know that good people can live in safety. What do you want from us? Speaker Thex asked. Recognition, cooperation, the ability to establish monitoring stations at the edge of galactic space. We want to watch for threats and deal with them before they become problems for your civilizations. And in return, we want a home. We want to be part of something bigger than ourselves. We want to help build a galaxy where everyone can live without fear. The debate continued for hours, but the outcome was inevitable. The humans had demonstrated their capabilities and their intentions. They were offering to be the galaxy's shield against the darkness, asking only for the chance to belong. Very well, Speaker Thex announced. The Council will vote on the Terra Accords, a formal agreement recognizing humanity as a protectorate, species with special responsibilities for galactic security. The vote was unanimous. For the first time in galactic history, a species had been granted the authority to act as guardians for all others. The humans had found their place in the galaxy, and the galaxy had found its protectors. As the session ended, Admiral Corgan approached Captain Davis. I underestimated you, he said simply. You did what you thought was right, Davis replied. That's all any of us can do. Will you really protect us? We'll protect everyone. It's what we were born to do. 2 years had passed since the Terra Accords were signed, and the galaxy was learning to adjust to its new guardians. The human monitoring stations had been established at the edge of known space, their crews watching for threats that most species couldn't even imagine. Dr. Rilith found herself assigned to the Joint Research Station orbiting the human colony of New Haven. The planet was a testament to human adaptability. A world that other species had deemed uninhabitable was now home to over 2 million humans who seemed to thrive in its harsh conditions. The atmospheric composition is still toxic to most galactic species, she reported to the Science Council. The humans have terraformed only the most essential areas. They seem to prefer their worlds challenging. Are they happy there? Asked Dr. Zenthi through the communication link. They're more than happy. They're thriving. I've never seen a species so content with adversity. The truth was more complex than Rilith could easily explain. The humans had integrated into galactic society, but they had done so on their own terms. They established trade relationships, shared certain technologies, and participated in cultural exchanges. But they also maintained their role as protectors, and that role was becoming increasingly important. Station Commander to Dr. Rilith, came the voice through the CUM system. We have a situation developing in the Outer Rim. Human patrol ships are responding to a distress call. Rilith made her way to the command center, where the main screen showed a tactical display of the galaxy's edge. 3 human vessels were moving toward a convoy of civilian ships that was under attack by unknown forces. "What's the situation?" she asked Commander Hayes, the human officer in charge of the station. "Pirates, looks like. They're using some kind of new technology that's jamming normal communications. The civilian ships can't call for help through regular channels. How do you know about the attack?" "We monitor all frequencies, including the ones that most species can't detect. We heard their emergency beacon." On the screen, the human ships reached the convoy. What followed was a brief but decisive engagement. The attacking vessels were disabled with surgical precision, their crews captured and their weapons destroyed. "Rescue operations are underway," Hayes reported. "No casualties among the civilian population. What will happen to the pirates?" "They'll be turned over to the appropriate authorities. We're not judges or executioners, we're just here to keep people safe." This pattern had become familiar throughout the galaxy. Human patrol ships would appear whenever civilians were threatened, deal with the problem quickly and efficiently, then disappear back into the void. They asked for nothing in return except the knowledge that innocent people were protected. "Dr. Rilith," Hayes said, "we're getting reports of something else. Long-range sensors are detecting movement in the dark space between galaxies. Whatever it is, it's big and it's heading this way. Should we alert the Council?" "Already done. But between you and me, I don't think they're going to be able to handle this one." The threat materialized 3 weeks later. A massive fleet of unknown origin dropped out of hyperspace at the galaxy's edge, their intentions clearly hostile. The ships were unlike anything in the galactic database, organic constructs that seemed to be grown rather than built. "They're not responding to any form of communication," reported Admiral Corgan from the Joint Defense Command Center. "They're just destroying everything in their path." "What do the humans recommend?" asked Speaker Thex. "They're already moving to intercept. Captain Davis says they've encountered this species before during their journey here." The human response was swift and coordinated. Every available ship was mobilized, from the massive colony vessels to the smallest patrol craft. They moved with the precision of a species that had trained for this moment their entire lives. "All civilian populations are being evacuated from the projected path," Hayes reported to the Emergency Council session. "Human ships are establishing a defensive perimeter." "How many ships do they have?" asked Representative Morth. "Enough." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever witnessed. The human fleet met the invaders in the empty space between star systems far from any civilian population. The engagement lasted for 6 hours and ended with the complete destruction of the hostile fleet. "How many did you lose?" Admiral Corgan asked when Captain Davis reported the victory. "None," Davis replied simply. "We don't leave anyone behind." The aftermath of the battle revealed the true extent of human preparation. They had been ready for this threat because they had encountered it before, on their journey to the galaxy. The hostile species was a hive mind that consumed other civilizations, and the humans had been tracking their movements for decades. "You knew they were coming," Speaker Thex accused. "We suspected. We've been monitoring their expansion patterns since we first encountered them. They follow a predictable route, consuming everything in their path. Why didn't you warn us sooner?" "We did warn you. We told you there were threats you weren't prepared to handle. This was one of them." The revelation that humanity had been preparing for threats that the galaxy didn't even know existed changed everything. The Council realized that their new protectors weren't just powerful, they were experienced in ways that peaceful civilizations couldn't comprehend. Dr. Rilith found herself studying human tactical doctrine, trying to understand how they had achieved such overwhelming victory against impossible odds. The answer was both simple and terrifying. "They don't fight to win battles," she explained to her colleagues. "They fight to end wars. Every engagement is designed to eliminate the threat completely and permanently." "That's genocide," protested Dr. Zenthi. "No, it's survival." "The species They defeated was a hive mind bent on consuming all organic life. There was no possibility of negotiation or coexistence. The humans did what had to be done. The years that followed saw the establishment of the new galactic order. Human ships patrolled the edges of known space, their crews watching for threats that might emerge from the void. Trade flourished under their protection, and previously hostile regions became safe for civilian travel. The humans asked for little in return. They established colonies on worlds that other species couldn't inhabit, built their monitoring stations in the empty spaces between systems, and generally kept to themselves except when threats emerged. "They're not rulers," Admiral Corgan observed during a military briefing. "They're guardians. They don't want to control us, they just want to protect us." "And we let them?" asked a younger officer. "We don't let them, we ask them to." "There's a difference." The cultural exchange between humans and other species was gradual but profound. The galaxy learned about the concept of sacrifice, giving up safety and comfort to protect others. Humans learned about cooperation on a scale they had never imagined, billions of beings working together for common goals. "They're changing us," Dr. Rilith noted in her final report. "Not through force or manipulation, but through example. They show us what it means to be truly strong." "Is that good or bad?" asked Dr. Zenthi. "It's necessary. We've lived in peace for so long that we forgot there are things in the universe that don't value peace. The humans remember what we forgot." The monitoring station at New Haven had become a symbol of the new relationship between humanity and the galaxy. Scientists, diplomats, and military officers from dozens of species worked alongside humans, learning from each other and preparing for whatever threats might emerge. "Contact on long-range sensors," reported the duty officer. "Unknown vessel approaching from galactic south." Commander Hayes moved to the tactical display, his expression calm but alert. "Classification? Single ship, no match in the database. They're broadcasting a distress signal. Scramble a patrol. Standard first contact protocols." "Sir, shouldn't we alert the fleet?" "Not yet. Let's see what we're dealing with first." The approaching vessel turned out to be a refugee ship from beyond the galactic rim, carrying survivors from a civilization that had been destroyed by forces they couldn't identify. The humans took them in without question, providing medical care and temporary shelter, while the council debated what to do with them. "This is becoming a pattern," Speaker Thex observed. "More and more refugees are finding their way to us." "Word is spreading," Captain Davis explained. "Civilizations beyond our galaxy know that we offer protection to those who need it. Can we handle an unlimited number of refugees? We'll handle whatever comes. That's what we do." Standing on the observation deck of the New Haven station, Dr. Rilith watched human ships moving through the system, some heading out on patrol, others returning from missions at the galaxy's edge. The sight had become familiar, comforting even. "They really did it," she murmured to herself. "They found their place in the galaxy." "More than that," said Commander Hayes, who had approached quietly. "They made the galaxy a better place." "What happens when you encounter something you can't handle?" Hayes smiled, the expression both confident and humble. "Then we'll figure out a way to handle it anyway. We always do." The galaxy had learned to sleep peacefully, knowing that somewhere in the darkness between the stars, humans were standing. Watch. They were the guardians who asked for nothing but the chance to protect others. The survivors who had turned their greatest weakness into the galaxy's greatest strength. The universe was still dangerous, still hostile, still determined to test the resolve of every living being. But for the first time in galactic history, there were those who stood ready to meet that challenge, who had been forged by adversity into something unbreakable. The humans had found their home among the stars, and the stars had found their protectors.